Was a heritage farm that's about 150 years old.
Is that right?
In the McCarthy family.
Wow.
And Bob went to, they had to go to Des Moines to accept the thing. So Bob and Julie went, and we said, Bob, you put your head right in front of the
150 years, huh?
That was just recently?
Just this when the fair was.
Okay.
Bob's got a big sign, and he's got a plan for getting it up there, but it's taken him a long time to get it. He's got the Century Farm, which is 100, but this is 150, so it's been a long time. Yeah.
Well, does Bill live in Cascade then?
Pardon?
Bill live in Cascade?
And Bob lives over on Ryan Road.
Okay.
He farms.
Well, one of their spouses was worked at Cascade as a teacher aide, didn't she? Was that
Jan.
Jan. Is that Bill's wife?
Yeah, that's Bill's wife. And Jenny, she teaches health and phys ed and driver's ed. And she's doing driver's ed, and she says, my knuckles are getting white. I'd imagine my knuckles would be getting white too.
Well, when did your ancestors come, do you know? Like in the 1860s, or was it earlier than that?
It was 1848 or something like that.
Okay.
And somebody else, this O'Connor's, he and his wife had homesteaded it, and he died, and she couldn't handle it.
Oh, okay.
And then they took it from her. So it was quite a long time.
That's a beautiful farm, though.
You can just see all over it standing. You see for miles. In fact, you can see the other highway, even the airport.
My great-grandfather was Mulhall. He was in the Civil War and came over 1850s, and he got married up in they called it Pin Oak then. It was Holy Cross. But he had like 40 acres. It was kind of a diamond here and 40 acres here, and it's down in the gully. It was not a very productive farm, but he raised my grandmother and everybody else there. But this was a better spot.
Yeah, they came first when they were in New York. It seemed like.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know what they were doing. I forget. And some of them, a lot of them, their ancestors were teachers.
Were they? Mm-hmm.
And it kind of went on, I guess. And then they came out this direction.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little.
Well, that's a pretty
civilized.
It was all Irish, pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Here and down by St. Joe's Prairie. I think that was Irish too, wasn't it?
Down near Gary Owen.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bernard. Well, Holy Cross was originally Irish. Now it's a lot of German.
Yeah, there's a lot of
But it was Irish.
McCulloughs came from Holy Cross.
Did they?
But then they kind of got Irished up when they got down this way.
Well, see, Charlie, we went to school together at Loris Academy.
Oh, did you?
And Charlie was really sharp and a good student and a great guy. And I found out later you had him for 8 years, didn't you?
Yeah.
In the grade school. He came into Loris Academy, went right in the A section. But he's a nice fella. He loves to tell stories.
Oh, good heavens.
He comes to our reunions. Yeah, I run into him every once in a while. He's always got a good story.
Yeah.
Will you play golf? Is he playing golf?
No, I don't think I know that he does, but they moved right over at Thunder Ridge.
No, where they are?
Yeah. They were supposed to move at Thanksgiving. Let's see. The guys from Bernard were building a house. I forget who it was. And they didn't get moved till about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mary Jo was kind of excited about it.
Yeah, Mary Jo used to work up at
Yeah, but Charles will be down here because Robbie's son is taking care of the farm, and they have cattle and a lot of corn and everything else. Charles will be here all the time, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he'll head out down there as soon as he gets something.
Probably his son has another job too, probably, right? Or does his son have another job too, or does he just do the farm?
No,
it's a big job, big
because
farm.
they've got a whole lot of cattle down there.
Okay.
And I don't know. Last year, I think they had 1,000 acres of corn.
Oh my God! Wow. I know Charlie. They had a big farm. I know, but he kind of it was kind of rough time there for a while, wasn't it? With the economy.
He rents everybody's farm. And Mary Jo, she used to. She worked at
Stonehill.
something. Yeah, Stonehill.
Yeah, because I used to take Brenda's mother up there.
Yeah.
To daycare.
And she takes them their lunch. She packs them their lunch and takes it. And good heavens, she said, my biggest job is figuring out where they're at. Because they've got ground rented way south and toward Placid and everything else.
Well, it's a little easier now with cell phones.
Yeah, she can call somebody and tell me, where are you at? You know, where am I going? I said, are you still doing that, Mary Jo? I thought she'd give it up when but this little kid isn't married. He's 28 or something like that. And, well, she said, I have no excuse now. She said, I think I'd have an excuse. I think if they planted all that farm, they could stop at the Red Roof or something.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah. We've been working on a little project for the district, Geraldine. We started last spring, and we want to maybe kind of leave some record of memories of the past at West Dubuque.
Okay.
When it got started, and a lot of things that were involved with the people back then that can share their experiences. And we thought you would be a good one to visit with, since you have a lot of memories, I'm sure, of back then before the district.
Yeah.
When did you actually...
Why don't you tell them a little more what you've got or done already here with Wayne and some of those people?
We started with Wayne last spring, and Tom and I did 2 taped interviews with Wayne. And he talked about when he was county superintendent, and then when he got the job as the superintendent of West Dubuque. And then he shared his remembrances of those times with the first Board of Education, the first bond issues, and then, the construction and hiring the teachers back then and that sort of thing. And then last August we went back and did another session with Wayne. And so since then we've done some other interviews with some of mainly the high school teachers so far. But at any rate, it's going to be a sort of a long project, but we want to make sure that we include as many people as we can that remember back then when things got started.
When we started out, there were 2 board members that were alive, and then Bud Ross died, so there was only one, just Ray Sherman, and we did visit with him and Pearl, and they told us a few stories, but they just had Wayne again, just Monday, last week?
We did a couple of video sessions with Wayne recently, and Dave Wegman sort of did the interview part of it with him, and he did really well. So it's going to be on a website from the district eventually that people can see, and any kind of stuff we can put on there will be a good deal, in the future for remembering those years.
I went to school there when I was a child, and we just walk up the hill. But how it started, I don't know if...
you went up the hill to what, the Prairie Creek School, or what?
Yeah, right up here on the top of the hill.
Is that where you went for 8 years? Where'd you go to high school at?
Piazza.
Oh, okay.
At first, the kids in this area would walk to school to the corner over here. I don't know what you call that school, but it was quite a jaunt for the kids. So it would be my grandfather and my grandmother said they could have school in our house. So they had, it was in that big old house, there were lots of rooms. And so they had a room and they had school there. And while they were having school here, my grandfather gave them an acre of ground up on the corner of the farm. And when they went to build it into, my brother Jimmy, built the house there. And when they were taking down or working on the school, making a house, they found this shingle in there in the roof, and it said that this house was, I have the shingle, this house was built, or this building was built in, I'll have to get it, I think it was 1889 or something like that. And so I'm sure my grandmother would hurry up and get that building built, because it'd be dinner time around here and there'd be all the school kids. So finally they got it built, and then the kids went to that school, and it was much closer for them, and they called it District Number 9. That was what it was. And
that was up by Bill's place? Or by the next farm?
Yeah, right there. That was the corner. That was a corner, an acre of McCarthy's land. They just gave it to them. And then they were. This was kind of interesting. They were naming the schools, and they went by numbers, number 9, number this and that, and Marcella McCullough, she was belonged down here, and she was a very good teacher and a very lovely person. She was teaching, and she decided that they'd call the school McCullough School. See? My dad,
she was
he
your
didn't
teacher?
say anything, but he didn't think very much of it.
But she was your teacher?
She was very good.
Was she your teacher then?
No, her sister, Alberta McDermott, she lived up where Clarence McDermott, she was my teacher. And Dorothy McDermott, she was real good. She was Emmett and those. And then it stayed until 1960 when it was consolidated.
Okay.
And there were different teachers. Usually, and there was a director, and March was school election, and sometimes there'd be some pretty hot elections because they want to get in and hire who they wanted, And one time I remember the story. Mike Calhoun's lived down where Rivers live, and he got to be the director, and he hired this teacher, and from what I understood, she was a good teacher, but something didn't suit McCullough's, And so they decided they were going to send their children to Fillmore because Fillmore was running, and it was the Catholic school. And so, and they had to go in a buggy with drawn horse. And they were going down this hill one time. They took the kids out of the school up here in Cincinnati. And something scared the horse, and it rolled the buggy, and they thought that this girl was killed. There was an awful commotion.
Yeah.
But they got it straightened out after a while. But they'd always tell that story. So, and then my dad was director for a few years, and I had 3 sisters, and they each took their turn. Marge McDonald, she taught when she started up, and all you had to do was go to the U of Dubuque for a summer session. I think it was about 6 weeks, and then you had to pass, but you really had to pass some very stringent tests in everything, science and agriculture and everything. And if you got a certain grade, you got a first grade certificate, and you got more money than if you didn't do quite so good, you know. And if you didn't do good enough to get a certificate, you could study and go the next time they had the test. And
so what was the name of the school when your 3 sisters? Was it still McCullough School?
yeah, it was McCullough School. My dad just let it go. Every time mail had come in to say McCullough School, he'd kind of look at it, but he thought, I'm not going to make a fuss about it, just leave it go, just make it.
So what year did you graduate from Piasta High School then?
1940, I think it was. Yeah, because I started teaching in, I think that was it. And then I went to Clark for a year. I went to summer school, and I had my certificate, but you couldn't teach until you were 18 years old. And so I went to Clark that year.
So you went to Clark a year after the U before you taught because you weren't 18?
Yeah.
So you must have graduated from high school when you were 16, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
When's your birthday?
Pardon?
When is your birthday?
June 25th. Yeah. So
that's Brenda's birthday.
and
what year were you born? Do you remember?
pardon?
What year were you born?
27.
27. Okay. See, my 2 sisters were born in 26 and 27.
Yeah.
And my one that was born in 27 was kind of funny. She skipped a grade, and she was 16 when she joined the convent. Imagine.
Wow.
And then they put the nuns out pretty quick teaching too. I don't know. They might have gone to school for a year or something at Loris or something.
Yeah.
So you went 1 year, you went to summer, and then you went a full year at Clark. And then
No, I just went that 1 year to Clark.
Okay.
And then it was night classes and summer school classes and all that.
Yeah.
And then finally I got my master's degree, but it took a few years.
Okay.
So where was your first teaching? Was it at McCullough School?
Yeah.
You come back to the school?
We always called it District Number 9.
In your family.
Dad always and then the interesting part, when they were going to put it back into the farm after the schools were closed. Let me see. I think it was $300, but it wasn't very much, compared. But my dad said, I gave it to them, and I paid taxes. It was on the tax roll. It was never taken off for I don't know how many years, and I had to pay $300 to get it back.
You get the land back and you gave it to them. Huh?
So did they tear the school down then?
No, they built it into the little house.
Okay.
Into the house that's up there now.
Okay.
That's where.
Jimmy lived there for.
That's where Jim lived.
Yeah.
And now Bill lives there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Phil built it. And so it was. And he worked the farm, and so.
Well, so when the district was put together in 1960, where did you go?
To Bernard.
You went to Bernard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And taught first and second, I think it was, because they had double grades at that time.
Okay.
So you were up here for till then?
Yeah.
In Bernard. And actually, let's see, that school wouldn't have been probably ready to go till 61, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because they've been building it back in 60.
The high school didn't open till 62.
Right.
So probably opened 61, I think. So,
I've got a register. My mother taught there. She taught that school. Callens he was the director, Mike Callen. And the teacher usually boarded at the director's house.
Okay.
And so she boarded, and that was down where Weber's lived there now. And it was quite a little jaunted up, of course. But you walked or got there the best way you knew how. Nobody took you. And it was, and of course my dad lived here then. And it was after a snowstorm, and it was real deep snow. And my mother was plodding up across it. And my dad was out doing the chores. And so he decided he'd go and get her. So he went down with his sleigh and got her. And we kids says, and the rest was history.
How many kids would be going to school at that school when you were there?
I had as few as, there usually be around 10 or 12.
Okay.
But I've had 21 in the school, and I probably had as few as maybe 10 or 12 or something
Okay.
like that,
Did you get a visit from the county superintendent once in a while?
Once a year. The kids were always, they didn't know what was most, I forget if Mr. Drexler, I think he was superintendent for a while, but
Joe Flynn was before that, right?
And the kids didn't know Joe Flynn from Adam, and they were supposed to stand up and say good morning or good afternoon. That was a joke.
So did you know when he was coming?
No. It was just a surprise. I was going to get that register. I was saying my mother taught there, and married ladies couldn't teach because my mother they were going to get married in the spring or something like that, but she couldn't teach that year because she was going to get married. So married ladies couldn't teach then.
Was she a Larkin, or what was her maiden name?
Maloney. Mary Ann Maloney.
Mary Ann Maloney, yeah.
And my mother, she had one brother, Joe, and her father died when she was about 2 months old, but her mother raised her and sent her to learn to be a teacher.
Did the school have electricity back then?
Oh, no, didn't have electricity, and I can never remember being frightened when a storm would come, and we were up on top of the hill there, and I can never remember the kids saying, I'm scared, No, I can never, but I think we thought we were close to, and somebody had sense enough to do something,
Yeah.
because we were pretty close to here. And I can never remember being scared. And then we had to carry the water. We had to carry the water from here. They carry the water.
So there's no well up there.
No well. There was we had a little bucket like with a lid on it, you know. And when the bucket would get, and sometimes the kids would drink more water than they needed, because when the bucket got kind of empty, they had turns walking over to get the bucket filled.
Okay.
And my dad usually had a treat for them when they got over here. So they were all anxious to come.
What about heat? Did you have a stove, a big wood stove? Or?
No, it wasn't very big. It was just one of those round little black ones, you know.
Okay.
And there was a little shed, like they called it, the woodshed, and skunks lived in it. And then later, you got some coal. They put coal in it.
Okay.
And that was better. And you had to start the fire when you got there. And the kids would be, you sat close to the stove yesterday, it's my turn today. And,
So when it closed the last year, you still didn't have electricity or water?
Yes, we did.
You did get it eventually?
Electricity. I'm trying to figure out that exact year, but I just can't.
You got electricity, but did you get water? You probably never did have water.
No, we never did get water. And,
Well, you went to one.
Oh yeah, I went to country school.
oh, did you
yeah.
have a well at your place? No.
There was no well. No, we had to bring the water. One of my memories is that I think once every 2 weeks, the teacher would bring some meat, and the kids would be assigned to bring different vegetables, and she'd throw it all in the pot on the stove. That's what we would have for lunch that day.
Well, our kids would, a lot of times they'd bring a potato, and they'd set the potato on top, you know. I don't know how they knew which was their potato. And for lunch they'd have that.
Sure.
And they never complained. They didn't know any difference, you know.
Did like when the kids were in 8th grade, did they have to take an 8th grade
yes, they
exam?
did. They had to take the tests that came from the superintendent's office, and there were really tough tests. If Liz Lynch was here, you'd really get the lowdown, and she'd say the kids today couldn't begin to pass those tests.
Yeah.
Because they were really tough tests.
Yeah.
And you'd practice and you'd send a test home with the kid every night to practice or to do it, you know. And a lot of the times they wouldn't let the child take the test at their own school. You had to go to some other school
really?
to take it. And because I could remember, I think it was Eleanor, my sister. They were supposed to go to the school way up there. They had to take them, and they got there and they didn't have any tests for them. And they had to call somewhere and get the tests brought. You know, but
Did they get a certificate?
yeah, and then they had a graduation ceremony the 14th of June, where all the kids in Dubuque County went to senior high.
Okay.
And they had a big to-do, you know. The kids were all dressed up, and a lot of the schools did special projects, you know.
Yeah.
And they got, you know, like a diploma or something like that, you know. And it was very special because a lot of kids didn't go further than 8th grade.
Yeah.
They stopped then, you know.
Did you ever get together with some of the other schools close and get the kids together?
For picnics and things.
Yeah, like that.
No, but all the families would come, like for a last day picnic or something like that.
Okay.
And they'd all bring something, and it was kind of special, you know.
What about Christmas programs?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes we have those. And you'd put up sheets for the stage, and they were. My mother, they said, was so good at those. She would put on the best programs, and I can remember one we had.
Did your mother actually teach in that school too?
My mother taught there. Yeah, I must get that picture.
Your mother and three of you, huh?
Yeah, four. Yeah, four of us.
Four of you.
Yeah, Eleanor.
Which one was the one that taught at St. Joe's? Was that
Mary.
Mary?
Mary
Yeah, I remember she had my grandkids, my nieces.
I never thought
Is she a
of it.
Miller? Was that her name?
Mary Miller, yeah.
Okay.
She's still living. They'll be 96
Really?
in August, Marge, and her. Yeah.
And then you had Marge. Marge.
And Mary, yeah. Marge McDonald, Mary Miller, yeah.
No, who was Ellie then?
Eleanor's dead, yeah.
Eleanor Bird?
Yeah, and she taught that.
She taught there too, huh? Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll get this picture.
Okay.
Imagine the mother and the 4 girls all taught there.
That's a lot of good stuff. Wow.
You got you got a pen for some reason. I thought I had 2 pens there, but
I didn't bring it along.
that's all right. Yeah. I don't know where I got this thing, but it's not working.
I bet she just raised her eyebrows when I mentioned the Christmas program because.
That was a nightmare probably for the teachers, huh?
Oh God.
But it was a big deal, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, some kind of play that you'd be a character, you know.
Did you do that 8
Oh, yeah.
years?
Oh,
Were you
yeah.
8 years?
No, for about 5 years, I guess.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that was, my mother was this one.
No, okay.
And you probably know some of them. This was Clarence McDermott, and this was Clem McCullough. That was Charles's dad.
Oh, okay.
And these were 3 Callan boys. There was Walter and Cy and
Oh, yeah, I know that family. Yeah, I knew the kids.
yeah,
Lois and
Janine.
Don Frank Fryman's wife.
Oh yeah.
Daughter, Janine.
And this was Alberta McDermott and Evelyn McCullough. And some of these were Goggins that lived over on the corner. And I don't know, and they brought their dogs to school. Those dogs are so pretty.
Did they come every day? Or
Yeah, the dogs would come every day. Sit outside and wait for them till they got outside.
Oh my God. How about did some of them ride horses to school or?
When I taught, nobody rode horses, but Larry McDermott, you know, I taught him. He'd drive the tractor over. Just would make me shorter, and I just better not say anything. That's about it.
That would be Sherry's brother, older brother.
Okay.
And, he's the one that has a
Shorty's
construction
son.
company,
Yeah,
right?
He retired, I
Yeah,
think. Shorty.
right there on 20.
Yeah.
That was his.
Okay.
He retired.
He'd ride the tractor.
I had him in high school.
He'd park it
nice.
up on the...
Excuse me, but this might be Diane calling.
Okay.
Any idea what year that is, or
Pardon?
what year that would be, or?
Does
Oh, it's
it
in the
say
back.
in the back?
Yeah, 1917.
Yeah, and I had a register I was going to bring, but I didn't bring that. But I've got to get it. I think it was right here.
You got a pen close? My pen broke.
Pardon?
Do you have a pen very close?
Yeah, look in that. On the desk, they rummage around and you find it. This was, this goes back for
Well,
centuries.
Oh my. That's the original register.
No, it isn't mine. It's
But it goes way back.
does it start? What does it say? You'll have to read it.
Irene, was that your mother, Irene?
No, that was Joan. Did you know Joan Conley? Mrs. But that was her mother.
Oh,
She
okay.
lived over on the road. Louis English's mother.
Oh, that was her? Lou May's mother? She's McCarthy, huh?
And that was just to show you how to do it.
1918 here.
I gotta see if I can find my glasses somewhere. Usually I've got them lost, and they're not the greatest thing to lose.
Well, these are classes? Name of the author of the book. Oh, the books they used. History.
Wow.
Physiology. Jeez. Ornithography. Spelling. They call it ornithography. Spelling. Rating.
General.
Ag. Taught in the 7th and 8th grade. Home economics. Daily. 1918, jeez. They've emphasized. I wonder how they type that in there.
I know, that's what I was wondering.
If they bound the book later or something.
It's pre-done, apparently.
Well, it's got the name of the kids, though.
Is that right? Is that the kids' names?
Yeah. First intermediate. So we got a Harris here. There's Harris's up here, I think. John Osman.
That might have been a sample one. I'm not sure.
That could be. Maybe that's it. And the rest of them are written, probably. Yeah, that's probably the deal. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And here's 1918. Summary report. That might be a sample, though. Oh my, look at that.
Yeah.
Blackboard work, written work, hard work, hand work. Good job. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
So that was how to do it. So this is 1918, September 3rd. Oh my, that's a picture of those kids that she just mentioned. This is all those kids. Howard McDermott. Yeah.
What time did school start?
Pardon?
What time did school start in the morning?
I think around 9 o'clock.
Then at 3 o'clock?
Yeah, try to do it.
Yeah, you got to keep your attendance here. What's his ease, I wonder?
And they'd have cornhusking vacation in the fall, 2 weeks or something like that.
Okay.
The kids would, because there'd be bigger boys, and they'd. But I can never remember having discipline problems
Okay.
because the homes were more stable,
Oh, yeah.
and.
They knew it was a privilege too.
Yeah.
I mean, the parents did.
Yeah, because I can remember that Jim, Kellen, and John, they were good kids. And one day, John, when he told his dad, I corrected him and he didn't need to get corrected. He shouldn't. It wasn't his fault. And his dad said, but just think of the amount of times that you got by and didn't get corrected. And I thought, that kind of put me off the hook, So that was the way they handled it.
When I was, I think I was in 8th grade, and during the school year, one of our families, this lady, the wife, had her young brother apparently had some problems, and they brought him out to stay with this family. They came to school, our country school. Well, he was kind of a bully, and he was a big guy. And so one day we had these other guys together, and I said, we're playing over the top. I said, he was on the other side. I said, okay, well, we're going to throw the ball over. I said, we'll all rush over and knock him down, take care of him. And so they said, yeah. So throw the ball over. I run over around the building and I get there.
You by yourself?
And they never came. So it took me down and beat the crap out of me.
That sounds familiar. Here it says school closed 4 weeks, December and January.
Oh, that was probably cold.
1918, yeah.
So like school ended maybe in the middle of May or
sometimes we didn't have very many long vacations, at Christmas and stuff, and they want the boys out to help, so usually a lot of times 6th of May or something like that.
because they were really concerned about 180 days of education.
Yeah, to keep track of it.
Well, here, Agnes.
The state wasn't on your case like it is today.
Yeah.
Well, here it says that second year it was closed from February 4th till February 23rd for the flu.
Okay.
I can see that.
Well, that would have been back when the flu was really.
Oh yeah, during World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19. This is 1919.
Yeah.
Agnes Walsh was teaching. Yeah, a lot of people died of the flu
Exactly.
back then. They said.
Yeah.
And Evelyn Busson taught. Oh my, this is great.
What'd you do for like school supplies?
Oh, yeah. Really do about school supplies. I know we didn't have any electricity. We had a record player that wound up,
Okay.
And some of the schools were really nice and fixed up nice, and the teachers took pride in fixing them, and some of them weren't fit to go into. I know some that my sisters had done, and they would go for a long time before school opened to get it so, and the director wouldn't even want to give them any paint or anything, and they were going to take care of it themselves. They said, "We went that for its only school," and they said, "Well, I've got to live in here all year too," and they'd get it so that it was a pleasant place to be.
Well, did you have like lanterns, like when it was a cloudy day or something, or were there a lot of windows?
Pardon?
Did you have lanterns?
No.
So you had enough windows that it was bright enough you could see, huh?
It was pretty bright.
Okay. Probably the wind come
Quite a
through.
few windows.
I can see why you stay close to the.
I was trying to figure out when we had those Christmas programs.
What time did you get to school? Like.
When I had and then after, when I had to light the fire, I had to get there pretty early to, I'd leave, but if I was here and I just didn't wake up, it would take only 5 minutes. And then before you'd leave in the evening, you'd kind of get this ready to start in the morning with some kindling and that ready to go. And then I just don't know what year it was. They got oil burners, and they had a barrel with oil back of the school and a little pipe that came through.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes those oil burners would. They kind of carving up. And they'd bounce like you couldn't believe it. You'd have to they had what they call a poker there, and you kind of scratch that black stuff off,
Okay.
Because it you'd think it could explode the way it was going,
So you taught, that was the only country school you taught, just this one, McCullough? And then you went to Bernard? Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And,
that must have been quite a change, huh?
Yes,
go to Bernard?
I had first and second grade in Bernard. There were quite a few kids.
Yeah, I remember. Well, when I come down, that was 4 years later. You had 44 first and second graders.
Wow.
It was still.
Oh my God.
And then they grew a lot, and then they put an addition on Bernard, and then we had a grade for each. There was 25 kids in each grade,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Would you have a couple teacher aides?
Oh yeah, right.
They were killing.
They haven't invented them yet, have
I can remember having, you probably remember, Teddy McAndrew, and
they? Oh yeah.
I think it was Mike or Kevin or one of the McCarthy kids, or maybe a couple of the McCarthy kids, and they were great for Mary Gertrude Cal, and they called her Good God Gertie. That's what they called her. and they weren't mean or anything, but they were just mischievous.
Yeah. That,
So you had some of your nephews and nieces up here
I
too.
can remember, I think it was Mike or some of them anyway, because the Larkin kids were going to go and they said, oh boy, they've got it made. And they went home that night and they said, do you know, she acted like she didn't even know those kids.
No, I see some cars. Was that were the cars from out here too?
Yeah, they used
Bob Carr and what's Nillis? Gwen Nillis. She's a car.
Pardon?
Gwen Nillis. She's a car.
The car, you remember the cars that used to live after Jimmy moved, Jeannie and Ed Carr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
so did you have like teacher meetings where you get together with other teachers?
And talk things over.
Yeah.
We had a lot of teacher meetings. They would be on Saturdays, at,
Okay.
like at the courthouse or someplace, you know. And we could have done without a few. But they were, where you could discuss things.
I saw it said Teacher Institute September 14th and 15th or something. And here's the teacher suggestions to the successor.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So you taught, was it only 2 years when you didn't teach?
Pardon?
Was there 1 year or 2 years when you didn't teach? You remember you came up and you had the primary kids at Farley, and you had the Epworth, and you might have even had Dyersville.
Yeah.
Was that just 1 year or just two? What?
That was 1 year.
1 year, huh?
Yeah.
And then you went back to Epworth.
Then I went back. Clara Boyle, I think it was. She was first grade. And
Yeah.
She was leaving.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you taught. And what year did you retire? The same year as you did?
I don't know. I retired in 01. When did you retire?
I was thinking it might have been the same time.
Let me see. When did I retire?
Brenda retired in 2002.
Okay.
Well, I thought maybe you were both 2001, but you taught.
I'll check it out.
Well, that's all right. Well, they got the records at the school. But you taught. Did you ever figure out how many years you taught?
53.
53 years?
Oh, jeez.
I should have quit as long as I had.
Is that counting the 1 year when you weren't in the classroom? Well, have to.
I don't know.
Yeah. Who cares? Only me. 53 years. Well, then you helped out at parochial school.
Yeah, I did for quite a while. And helped kids that had a few problems.
Did you do that for another 5 or 6 or 7 years? Or what?
Yeah.
Well, I know you must remember the year that we went to the national conference in Las Vegas.
And who was that other teacher? The principal?
Case Mutka.
Yeah. She's dead, isn't she?
Yeah, she passed away.
Yeah.
But I could still remember
Yeah.
being on the plane, and she got totally intoxicated.
Did her husband go along?
Huh?
Did her husband go along?
Oh yeah,
Frank.
Frank went along, and there was a charter. It was a charter flight, and they had all kinds of booze.
Oh, dude.
We landed in Las Vegas, and she couldn't even walk, and we had to get a wheelchair. And I think you pushed the wheelchair through the airport. Oh my God!
Okay, she was good one.
Well, I went up to Minneapolis with her on a meeting, and I don't know if Jim O'Mara was with us or not, but she had a little trouble too, and I think she actually fell and messed up her face. We took her to the ER, and there was a young doctor, a female doctor in there, and she was, of course, Kay was talking too much, and the doctor just said, "Hey, I don't want to hear anything from you. I'll fix you, and let's get out of here." Oh yeah. God rest her soul. Yes. So those early years of Bernard, I know you had big classes, and you stayed there till you came up north. Huh? Do we need to know anything about that?
No.
Those early days in Bernard.
No, what was how long were you in Bernard? How many years?
I went in 1945, didn't I? No, was it 45? No.
Yeah.
It was 60.
Yeah, 60.
And then
You probably came up to Epworth about 69 or something?
yeah, I think that was it. Yeah.
69 is when Farley opened.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
over there. You might have come
Yeah.
about then. Did they get that on their records and
Yeah.
the like? She was at Epworth a long time. Probably more than 30 years. Yeah. So, quite a career. That's a lot of years.
Lots of memories.
You know, but the kids back then, you know, they didn't have all the distractions that they have today.
Yeah.
You give them a book to read lately, and they'd say, "Oh, I watched it on video," or I don't need to read that. I heard it here, or I heard it there.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult to.
Yeah. Lots of
Yes.
distractions today. Why?
Yeah, just so many distractions and so many extra activities that they have to do, or if they do, they have to or not, I don't know.
There weren't even school buses when you went to Piasta, was there, to the high school?
No. We drive the neighbor kids, the Brown kids, Mark, and and those kids drive.
Well, I always tried to get her a Gold Star teacher thing. I was on that committee,
Yeah.
and I went round and round with them. They said, "Well, she's a principal." I said, "Yeah, but she also teaches full time." And John Hess was at Loris, and I kind of got them to make a deal that they'd do it next year, and they didn't do it.
It was best if it
Well, I've been carrying a folder back and forth to Florida every year for the last 10 years. So I got your years, and we talked about the present people who run the school aren't much for naming things after veterans and teachers. In fact, we heard rumors they wanted to change Buckman Field and
Yeah.
even Drexler School, but because Bob and I were involved with trying to, like Phil Schmitz, with the band room. Now they are going to dedicate the room, the band room, is it?
Well, it's not. It's going to be a plaque, commemorative plaque that's going to go on the wall with his picture.
Yeah.
And I have also, I've got a framed deal with all of his national appearances with the Bobcat Marching Band. He had 22
Oh my gosh.
national appearances from 1970 to 1998 when he retired. And Phil was the guy that put the identity on the district and the high school with the band program, and deserves to be commemorated for sure. So that's anyway. That's Saturday night. They're going to have the concert. So
it's kind of a surprise that he didn't know about it. Or he found
it's
out.
funny because I got the present band director told me that he was going to have Phil be a guest conductor for a couple songs, and that was the premise that would get him there. So anyway, Tuesday I got a phone call from Sarah Schmitz. She said, I called Dad recently, yesterday, and asked him what he was going to do this coming weekend, and he said, well, his calendar was open. And she said, well, doesn't he know he's supposed to be there? And so
Somebody better bring him.
yeah, so anyway, I called Laura Horner at the high school and asked her to check with Mr. Omarzu, I think his name is. And he said, well, he had emailed him a couple months ago. And so I gave Laura his cell phone. I have his cell phone number, so she gave it to him to call him to make sure he's going to be there. So I hope he is.
Yeah.
Because I know the family's coming.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Well, I talked to Jenny once about, and she was going to talk to the superintendent about some naming thing, and if we could get the library or something at Epworth named, or get a plaque or something for Geraldine.
Well, yeah. Yes.
I mean, nobody teaches 53 years anymore. I mean, that's. I worked on the railroad, and my dad and brother did. If you worked 50 years on the railroad, they gave you a gold watch. It was really nice, but there weren't. I don't remember one person
Ever made it?
that I knew. I mean, and that was in the 60s. Jimmy Ahern from Dubuque. He worked John's dad.
Okay.
He worked 50 years. But and I'm sure there was some old timers back in the 1920s and 30s.
Back in those days, they should have been a 30-year pin or something. Thinking 50 years back then was.
Yeah, to live that long. And then working on the railroad, you could fall off a car or you'd run over, which some of them did, But
I should. I got a cup of coffee. Okay. Oops. If I can't get it in, I'll holler. Okay.
well, I can come up here.